Let's Talk Live podcast. Who we got? Nope, they've hung up. Damn you. Call back. Let's see. Let's Talk Live podcast. You're on.
Hi.
Can we hear her?
Hello?
Okay. Hello. Who do we got?
Hi.
You might want to turn down your background volume so we can hear you a little bit more clear.
There we go. How's
Awesome.
that?
Who we got?
Blanche.
What's going on? So we'll give you 3 minutes. What you got?
Oh, okay. Talking about the blurring,
Mm-hmm.
people, I saw somewhere else, I don't remember exactly where it was, that the blurring out of the houses is possibly because there was camera footage taken from those houses.
Yep.
And if you do a aerial kind of the back of the house, off kind of catty corner to it, there's a big house back there.
Mm-hmm.
That house is blurred out too.
Yep.
So the talk about that is that, can you imagine if they have the footage from back there, that's going to face the back of the house
Yep.
where the incident occurred.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We've been talking actually about that for quite a few shows. And actually last night's show, I pulled up Google Earth and showed that particular house. We think from what I've investigated and some of my mods and some people on the panel, we've gotten some photos, and I don't want to say where they've come from, but you can find photos out there of that backyard. We can't see the camera position, but we have an idea of where the camera position could be.
And that camera footage.
Yeah, it's going to be very telling if
that would be great.
We get to eventually see video from there and see if he did enter and exit through that door.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, and that was all I had to add.
Sure, DJ, if you want to respond, go ahead, man.
No, she just nailed it, because that, if from that viewpoint of the back, that house, where if what we think is
I don't know, I don't hear him.
He parked up there. Oh, you can't hear me, can you?
You can't hear him. Interesting.
Okay.
No, but I can see him on the TV. He must be talking because it's flashing. I just can't hear him.
Right.
That's interesting that you can't hear him, huh?
Just say I reiterate what
but
she
I hear
said.
you fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, he said he reiterates what I'm saying. So
no, what she said.
Okay.
I agree with what she said too.
Yeah, what she said, he's agreeing. So that sucks that I can't. Damn. Wonder why you can't. Oh, okay. I got it. I know why. Anyway, we appreciate you calling
that's okay.
in.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much. I just thought I'd give it a shot, and I didn't know that was already said. I got in kind of late today, so.
Awesome.
Anyways, I just kind of wanted to pass along
the show, Bryan?
A little bit what I had heard. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night. What's that, DJ?
I was going to say, ask her what she thinks about how the show's.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think because I'm on mic, so they can only hear me. That sucks. I wish I could get it out to you too.
That's okay.
Yeah. Anybody wants to call in? We got 508-343-0833. Phone line is open. And if I have to, I'll hold the speaker up so you can hear you.
There's got to be a way, because
I can turn you up. There you go. You probably can hear you now. 408 in the house. Who's this?
This is Little Love.
Where are you calling from?
Kelly.
All right. So what you got?
Yeah, I had chatted earlier, and Detective John had said something about the DNA I had mentioned. And I was just talking about in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if DNA is not in their, like they haven't committed a crime, and see if DNA is not, they haven't committed a crime and DNA is not found, can they find them?
Yes.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Can you hear me? She can't hear me.
Can you hear John?
I don't think it made sense. I can hear you on my earphones. I have you on my earphones.
So you can hear me or Bryan or both. You can hear both of us? Sorry, we're working through the glitches here. Can she hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, Detective John.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, they can find them, and that's what they did. So basically, they didn't have anything in CODIS. So they had viable DNA from the sheath. They ran it through the system, and BK's got no criminal history, so there's nothing in CODIS. So your question, I believe, is can they still find him even though it's not in CODIS? Yeah, absolutely, because all they needed was that tip that they got, and bam, he's driving an Elantra. So there's various ways they could get his DNA. One would be through a search warrant, but they didn't have to do that. They could have got it by doing garbology, which is what they did at his parents' house. And once you do that, you compare the two, and that's how I believe they actually figured this out. To just use the lame term of the family tree DNA, that's irrelevant in this case. Absolutely irrelevant. They need to get off of it. Not going to matter. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
I think the line is still open. I don't hear her though. Hello?
Little Love, can you hear us?
Yes.
Did you hear what I said?
Can you hear me, Bryan? I'm here.
Yep.
I'm here.
Were you able to
I'm
hear
here.
John?
I can hear John. I can hear Bryan too.
So did that answer your question?
All right. We're going to move on. Phone line's open. Thanks for calling in. Phone line's open, 508-343-0833. If anybody wants to call in, we'll take a couple more calls before we wrap the show up. Let's hear you. We can hear you on the Rex. Is it Howerman or Hooerman? What are we saying?
Howerman.
All right.
Manga Blue says she can hear us both.
All right. 586. Who we got in the house?
Hi. My question is for John. I'm not sure in the technology how to work that.
Sure. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. I've been studying true crime pretty much since the inception of DNA, and there seems to be some confusion about like touch and transfer DNA. So I want to know, I understand it to be like if I run into you in person and, we bro hug and I pat you on the back, I leave touch DNA, right? And then you go and bro hug him.
That's transfer.
That's transfer, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Is that how the law looks at that, or is that different in legal terms?
Well, that's
so
how
I guess my question is for
that's how
Detective
science
John.
looks at it. That's how science looks at it, and the law will interpret it, whatever way they need to for the case. But the sheath is not transfer DNA; that's touch DNA, and they're going to try and say it was transfer DNA, though. That's what they're going to try.
But I mean, if I touch Bryan and then he touches you, that's transfer, correct?
Yep.
Right. That's transfer. You're absolutely right. Your interpretation is correct.
Now, the DNA I leave on Bryan is actual touch DNA, right?
Right. Because you are the contributor. You are the person that left the DNA. Now, if I walk by Bryan and I brush up against him with my shirt and I get your DNA off of his shirt, that's transfer DNA.
Yeah, I was asking specifically about this case because I seem to hear a lot of confusion on that.
Well, and that's what the defense wants to do. They want to confuse people. So they want people to believe that there's a possibility that Bryan Kohberger sold that knife, and in the process his DNA was left on that knife, or he might have held that knife and it was somebody else's knife, and that's what they want. That's the road. That's the rabbit hole they're going to run us down. They expect us not
that's
to have
what I'm trying to clarify
sense.
right now is that touch DNA means that he didn't sell me that with his DNA on it, right? And then I went and killed these people or whatever, and that would be transfer DNA, yes?
Well, if he held the sheath, then let's say if he sold you the knife and he held the sheath, you used the knife to commit the crime and you left the sheath there, that's still touch DNA. He touched
Right.
it. Okay, but if you held the knife and you got his DNA off of the knife because you transferred it onto you, and then you touched something and transferred his DNA and took the knife sheath with you, that would be transfer DNA.
There's the caller. There's a great video that I would love you to watch, and I would love everybody to watch. If you want to go back and actually watch the segment, we did it last night on my show. But there was I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and I urge everybody to watch this segment. It was from the Law and Crime Network. We were going to play it again, but just for the interest of time, I'll come back to it. But I would urge everybody to watch that because they actually have a DNA expert on there. Because I'm not a DNA expert. I'm not claiming that I am, but this will answer, I think, a lot of the questions that you have about touch and transfer. And she said that it's just almost virtually impossible the way that, trust me,
Right,
just
right.
watch the video.
But here's and for the listeners, here's
Let's
the
look at this
wormhole.
the other way.
Sure.
What if Bryan showed me his knife and I touched the button snap and it was now my touch DNA on the button snap and he doesn't leave any DNA on the thing? Am I on the hook for that crime that he committed?
Well,
Or
you're
is that
It would be
transfer?
the totality of the evidence. Were you
you're
in
trying
the area? Were you in the area? Do you have cell phone pings? Is there video footage? That's all the other things in the litigating factor that you have to look at in this case. And right now, it is showing that there's a lot of that evidence that's out there, witness statements, stuff like
well,
that.
this is
Totality of
Yeah,
evidence.
I think you're correcting exactly what I was
Mhm.
what I was thinking
Sure.
and this is
about
why
the
it's
difference
called an
between touch and
investigation.
transfer. And I see a lot of confusion about that on the
Sure.
YouTube streets.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just wanted to clear that up.
yeah.
Can he hear me, Brian, or no?
Yeah, I think he
And I
can.
might be using up my whole 3 minutes.
That's cool.
Love your
No,
show, brother.
this is great. This is great.
That's
Go
why it's
ahead, Jim.
called an investigation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to figure those things out.
But
I just wanted to get some clarity on that.
absolutely. And do this though, sir. The link, I just dropped it again in the chat. Watch that segment on Law and Crime. I think that's going to answer a little bit further than what John and I can. I'm not an expert. John's not, an expert. I don't know, John. You're not a DNA expert, correct?
I'm not deemed an expert, but I've
Okay.
had
No, I
Right.
just follow true crime.
Yeah,
and have
so
been for a long time.
I would say check out that link that I posted in there, and it's really good. It's a really good segment.
No, will do, sir. Thank you.
Great.
But
Thanks
that's
for calling.
that's the wormhole they want
You
you
guys
to
have a
go
good night.
down now. That's for sure.
That was a great call.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a couple of more. If anybody wants to call in, 508-343-0833. Phone line is open. Phone line is open. We'll take a couple more calls and then we'll wrap this up because we're getting about the 2:30 mark. Phone line is open if anybody wants to call. All right, we have another call, John. From the 785. Where you from and who is this?
Excuse me, I'm from Kansas.
All right, man. How's it going?
It's not too bad. It's probably just stormy again out here like it always does, but we'll get through it.
Gotcha. So what's your question?
Been following this since it started. I found your channel a while back. I like it. I guess my question is, how did he know or meet the girls? And what do you think your guys' answer is on that, or the connection? I mean, we kind of know why he probably did it or how, or understand it. But how did he meet them? How did he know them? Well, why did he choose them? I guess.
Sure. So my theory is this. If you look at the case files, and I don't know if this is a thing that I really urge people to do as well too. And I'm going to drop the file here so you can go on and read a lot of the file information, but you can see where all the search warrants were pulled. I just dropped that link in there. You're going to click on the link and go down about quarter page and you'll see the Idaho case there. And I urge everybody to go and read through these documents. But my assumption is it's got to be through some type of social media activity. Now, I could be wrong on this, but if you look at a lot of the search warrants they're pulling, it's a lot of Facebook. I just saw actually some new ones again for Instagram. There's Tinder involved. There's some other social networking apps as well. So we don't know if, maybe he had been planning this, for a year out and was just scrolling through these apps to just find someone and just moved, 3,000 miles across the country to commit this particular crime? Or was this someone that he saw, one of these, four individuals that he saw and became obsessed with and started to track them down? That's kind of where it leads me in that direction. But again, that's really the $1 million question. $1 million questions for me are, how did they come in connection? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened in that house that night, and the 8-hour lag? Those are the things that I need to be cleared on.
Yeah. That 8-hour lag too is, and I think I heard you talk about it before. I think the other roommates knew something weird happened, and they just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
They just didn't. That's the house, man. You got to hear what the hell's going on, especially if people are getting killed. That's just.
Yeah.
And another thing too, don't hang up here. Do you think he was ever there at like a party?
I know
How weird would that be?
Yeah, I've been some speculation out there. I've heard some of that, but we don't know. That's the thing. That total evidence is not out yet, and if it's even relevant to this case. John, do you have anything you want to add here before the caller goes?
Yeah, I think the digital footprint is going to answer a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
If you remember the food truck night, if you watch Kaylee, she was constantly texting or chatting, whatever she was doing, I don't know. But Maddie was earlier as well, and Maddie had actually indicated that Kaylee was going to be gone. This was it. She's moving away. So if he was infatuated with, and let's just say Kaylee, which I don't know. I mean, this could have been his opportunity, his last opportunity to do what he wanted to do. And she, this is why I tell my daughter, you don't need to advertise everything that you're doing 24/7, because you just never know. But you had some good points, good questions. I mean, those are all questions we want to know the answers to, but we're all going to speculate until we hear the evidence. And again, that digital footprint is going to answer a lot of that.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take one more call before we wrap up. If you're the lucky caller, you can call in now. 508-343-0833. Phone line is open. Phone line is open for anybody if they want to call in, and then if not, we're going to wrap this one up here. 508-343-0833. Good calls tonight, huh?
Chosen Rosen, you got to have some questions, bro.
I could just drop the link for him. He's been on the channel. He's my dude, man.
There's so much. She's got to have some good questions too.
All right, we got another call here. 425. From the 425, this is LTL Podcast. Who do we got? And what's your question?
Oh, this is 664. I just wanted to say hi, and I really appreciate your show.
Appreciate you. We appreciate you watching.
And I'll reach out to you later about the Jeff Primo case that's still going on in Washington. I haven't found out much about it yet, so no sense bringing it up if I can't find any more information than what you probably won't find. So
that's the I'm sorry, what was the case again?
Jeff Primo, he's the guy that got caught 24 years after murdering Jennifer Brinkman.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard that.
Is that a DNA case?
Yeah, he chopped her up with an axe, or he hit her one time with an axe.
Is that a DNA case?
Yeah, they found him through DNA 24 years later.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that one. Send me the details about it. I'll check it out.
All right. And then you guys have a good day. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling in.
You.
Take another call. Want to take another call?
Yeah.
All right. 508-343-0833. We got another call here. From the 385, this is LTL Podcast. Who we got? Oh, they hung up. All All right, we'll try again. 508-343-0833. Phone line's open. Phone line is open. Sitting on the dock of the bay.
Watching
Time away. We'll take one more before we wrap it up. 508-343-0833. 0833. I don't know, John. This might be it. Oh, we got
call in.
another call. From the 385, this is the LTL podcast. Who we got?
Hi, it's Brooklyn from Vegas. I'm
Hey.
so sorry. I got nervous.
Brooklyn.
What's going on?
So I guess I have a question for, I guess, both you and Detective John. This should be my area of expertise.
Got it.
I work in criminal defense, but I've only been a paralegal for a year, so I guess keep that in mind. But I guess I'm just wondering with like the extended time they're willing to give Bryan in the defense, I almost wonder if like prosecution just doesn't really have all of their evidence back yet, since I know the FBI kind of likes to take their sweet time in processing things. I just almost wonder if maybe that's why Judge is giving them such laxity around the time frame of the trial.
Absolutely why.
Yeah, we
You're
know
absolutely
one. Yeah, we know one thing, that the DNA evidence, I believe they're still waiting on some reports from the labs. And also, you gotta think though, too, is the transcript of the grand jury that transcript has to be, down to the T. So that takes a long time to type that as well out too. So
That is very true.
yeah.
Very
And I think
valid.
Judge, he's trying to be very fair to both sides. And I appreciate that, because I want a fair trial. Absolutely.
And it reduces the chance of an appeal as well, which is honestly great. I love seeing that, but I don't know.
He's being proactive is what he's doing. He's this late in his career, he's not going to want to wind up with a capital felony case going in for appeal. I mean, he's probably going to retire soon, I would imagine. He's been around a long time, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
He's definitely, but yeah, I think you nailed it. You're absolutely right. He's biding time. The defense is wanting more time because they don't have all the evidence, and the state's catching hell for it. But it's not the state that's withholding evidence. You have a plethora of other entities involved here that all have roles. And you being and you're going to school for criminal defense, or you work for a defense attorney. I missed that. Are you working
She's
for a
a
defense attorney?
criminal defense attorney, paralegal. She hung up the phone, but
Okay.
yeah, she's probably
Well,
still
that
listening.
was
My
a great
phone,
great question, and yeah,
my
there's
phone died.
they're gonna get. I'm sorry. So they're gonna get. He's gonna grant a lot of He's gonna grant a lot of her requests because they're pretty frivolous to not grant. You know what I mean? It's just
Right.
it's like granting. Some people call it a huge victory when they wanted all of the background on the officers, their training, stuff like that. That's all elementary stuff. There's no sense in fighting that.
Mhm.
Even though the state said they weren't going to use them as witnesses, still, okay, here you go.
Right.
TO it over to the agency, get their info and send it to them.
Right.
But instead, she uses it as a way to manipulate the public into believing that the state is withholding evidence.
Well, it's, and I always said this too, and you've heard us, excuse me, say this a million times on the channel. Cases are they're chess, not checkers. So everybody's moving their pieces accordingly, and they're trying not to get into checkmate. So that's what's going on here. Let's try to take one more call, and then we'll wrap this up. 508-343-0833 if anybody wants to call in. 508-343-0833 for the LTL podcast. We'll give you a couple minutes here. If not, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank DJ for hanging out on the panel again. He's been doing a lot of panels with me lately, and we've had some pretty compelling shows. And
yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And I want to appreciate everybody, every single one of these people in this chat room this evening that have come in and, discover the show through these chats, coming in and hanging out and looking for, just really good factual content in these cases. Now, I am not an expert. I'm not I'm not a law enforcement, not formal law enforcement. I'm speaking for myself here. I just try to investigate and do the best that I can and, read through these documents and give as much factual information as I can. That's how I formulate my opinions here on my show. I read through those legal documents, I read through news articles, videos, such, and make an interpretation of that and give it back to the audience. So I don't know, John, if you have anything you want to say.
Yeah, and of course, I've always got something to say. The thing about me, everyone, is I'm kind of a no nonsense guy. I crack myself up, don't get me wrong, and I have fun just like the rest of us. But I can tell you this much: to attack my brothers and sisters that I worked hard with in the same profession, and to know what they go through, how hard it is to put together a case, and to hear some of the nonsense that's spewed out there irks the hell out of me. And I'm gonna jump all over them. I'm gonna say things that you may not like, and I'm sorry in advance. I'm not gonna apologize for being that way. But if I offend you, I'm sorry. If you're leaning toward the fact that BK is innocent for whatever reason, hey, that's your right. But I'm leaning toward him being guilty. But to attack and fabricate stories to get clicks, I'm totally against it. I believe Bryan's against it, but I'm going to be a lot more versed than Bryan is about it, and I despise it. I absolutely can't stand it. It irks the piss out of me. And I'm gonna, in my own way, I'm gonna address it. So they're gonna provide me my content all the time, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
I mean, it's just look, look at a lot of platforms have run away from me. They don't want to collaborate with me anymore. I don't talk any ill will about channels. I just do my own thing, and we focus on what we have to do every show here, night in and night out. And I said this before. This is why I don't watch other channels. I may catch some of it, but I don't watch it because I don't want those channels and those ideas to influence my podcast. I want to keep it real. I want to keep my thoughts to myself. I want to keep my thoughts to my guests and my audience. So, that's how I do things here. But DJ, I think we're going to wrap this one up. We've gone about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I said I wanted to do a 2.5 hour banger, and we absolutely did that.
You got enough likes? You got over 100?
Yeah, we're at about 124, which is great. We got 145 in the room. I'd love to get to 145 before this closes up. But if not, I know you all will do it on the replay. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure you go down there and comment #replay. I really would enjoy it. And wow, dude, what a banger, huh? Great show.
And you know what? You and I, and a lot of creators don't do this. You and I have been responding to a lot of these comments. If I have time, I'll sit down. I'll respond. I'm a pretty quick typist. ASDF, JKLM, semicolon. The best class I ever took in high school was typing. So, I enjoy it. I'm not going to get into any useless banter with anyone, but if anyone has a question, fire it to me, and I'll try to answer it as best I can, and I'll try not to insult you. Try.
All right. I'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to get back into the Long Island serial killer. We're going to do a full show on that. So y'all come over tomorrow. I'll drop the link sometime throughout the day. And I noticed this time around, I think it alerted people a lot closer to the show, where I think when you drop it, the notification goes out, and then people probably tend to forget about it. So I'll drop that closer to showtime, but you can count on me being live tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Detective John. Oh, that guy right there.
That way. There you go.
That guy right there is Detective John. I'm Bryan. This is the Let's Talk Live podcast, episode 37, in the bank. We appreciate everybody. I'll be back. DJ will be back. I don't know.
Click that like button on my upcoming show. The links, I think that's posted in here somewhere. Somebody sent it. So go
Yeah.
in and subscribe, and we're gonna team up together, and we're gonna kick some ass, Brian and I. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right. Again, I got it right. That's DJ. I'm Brian. We'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Be safe.
Glad y'all got to see me.
Bye.